wow, we did this, and then we did that for a while. And then we got to a point where we went, we should do a festival. It's just natural for me. I was like, okay, this is the situation. I've accepted that. What now?
Yeah.
And what now is I need to get out. The first year we sold out well ahead of time. And the same thing. We did it and we looked around and went, look at all these people having amazing times. Wrecked my car, put myself into a coma for a month or two. Died a few times, got airlifted to hospital and...
Join the journey, stay for a while.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of KohPhanCast, the official podcast of Copenhagen Island. And this week with me, my good friend Matt Azrin. Matt is a DJ, a producer, an event organizer, resident at Zenon Records label, very appreciated guy in the Zenon, Psytrance scene. We set a talk about music, about planning, about being a human, about so many different things that just connect to the fact this guy is just trying to put good energy out, and I cannot wait for you to listen to this. So before we get to it, you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, click the bell notifications. It helps the engagement. Write to me in the comment section what you thought about this conversation, and let's get into it, guys. KohPhanCast, enjoy the episode. Matt, I'm super excited to have you here, because I don't know if I told you that. I think I have, but like all your sets from the last 4, 5, 6 years, like all of them without like missing one were my collection of favorite tracks at the same year. Like something about your sets always was super accurate to my music taste. And I can definitely say you still are one of my favorite DJs out there, because being a DJ these days gets a little bit shaded by, producers and like, oh, you don't make those kind of things. But being a DJ is an art as well. So before I get immediately into it, Matt Azrin, 40 seconds for the people out there that does not know you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. It means a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Me, what can I tell you? For the people that don't know me, I'm one of the OGs, one of the old guys. Been on Zenon for a while, been writing music a long time. Haven't done as much recently. But yeah, obviously being DJing with it, where I started off at playing gabber and hardstyle and techno to now onto psychedelic trance and everything over the years.
Hardstyle, wow.
Yeah, it was a brief moment. A very brief.
3-4 tracks.
Yeah. No, and then it just grew, right? My life, I was lucky enough to know the right people. And that gave me opportunity. And those opportunities have seen me travel around the world. Yeah. I could talk about myself forever. So let's not.
Well, we're going to dig into you for sure. So when did you even discover music? Like you say, hardstyle and things like that. Like how long ago was it?
It's going to show my age. But
you don't have to, you can make it mysterious.
No. There was a club in Melbourne called Base Station. And it was pretty epic. It was back in the hardstyle generation. It was hard dance, everyone wore candy, and it was a good time to be alive. And that was probably 2003-ish. I had a friend who was a DJ, and I just bought some vinyls, and I asked him to play them for me, and he wouldn't. He said I had to do it myself, and that sort of gave me the urge I needed to start.
Yes.
So then I started playing vinyl. Base Station picked me up pretty quickly, which was good. So I was a resident for them for a few years on vinyl. So that was really, really fun.
Different days.
Yeah, and then the place burnt down. Unfortunately, and they moved to another area, and I guess the event sort of started dying off. But lucky for me, there was another close friend, Ben Evans. He ran another party called Interview, and he picked me up real quick and gave me some really good opportunities. Then after that, I just started playing more and more festivals. Natural progression, and then I kept playing either before or after Sensient at all the Australian festivals, and then there was one time where I gave him a CD at the time and said, here's a demo, have a listen to it. and he liked it. And he's like, you know, after a while, when he was back in Melbourne, he, you know, organised a meetup and said, let's have you as a resident. So it was good. You know, it was all a nice, organic, natural progression.
Yeah, and it correlates again to more than just business, and like, because it is business, it is a job, but like there's something about the energy that you bring to stuff, and like when you just resonate with whatever it is that you're doing, and you don't need to work hard for it. There's a thought that you need to work hard for the things that you want to get and the things that are yours, and like the things that are truly meant for you will just come as natural as possible, aren't they?
To a certain degree.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have that determination, and you got to push the boundaries, and, you know, you can't just expect it to fall into your lap.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a difference
Yeah.
between just expecting for it to fall into your laps and doing it because you love it, and then you feel like it's not a job. It's not like you're going to a festival and you're like,
yeah.
oh, that's a job and I'm going to be at my like, you know, we are lucky. We have, as I see it, the best job in the world. But just the fact that you're doing what you love makes you not even consider it as a job. That you're just blessed. Or like, for the past, how many? 20, 25 years? You've just been doing whatever it is that you love.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like riding a bike. You know, at the start you get really nervous, and then even for the big events here you get nervous. But for me, it's probably the smaller events I get more nervous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the bigger events, yeah, they're awesome. You might have 20,000 people in the audience, but as soon as you press play, it's just like riding a bike. And then the smaller ones, you're like, oh, there's only 100 people here. They're going to be paying attention to every little thing I'm doing. And it's almost like there's more pressure.
Will they?
Which is good. Oh, no, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they will be.
So the moment I disconnected from this, like, I'm more like kind of connected to the fact that like those guys want to dance. Yeah. They want to have fun. Yeah. They want you to give the best set of your life because they're there for to listen to you. Yeah. Why do we get so much inside our head thinking, oh, they're looking there? Are we looking? Like,
it's because we're perfectionists, and that's what makes us good, right? You know, not just myself, like artists in general, because you have to be a perfectionist. Like even with my sets, I don't just sit there and play them on the fly. Like I'll spend a week, you know, preparing this ideal set.
Seriously?
And then that's my ideal set.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I always play that. You know, that'll be what I'd like to do. That's the journey I want to take everyone on. When I get there, if they're not vibing it, fine, I adjust it on the fly.
Yeah.
And that's just what a DJ does.
Mm-hmm.
And we're lucky we can do that.
Yeah.
You know, some producers can't do that because they've only got their own catalog. They don't necessarily jump into other people's catalogs.
Yeah.
For us, we can go, all right, that isn't working. I need it harder or softer or cheesier or whatever. And we can just go, all right, we've got that drag done. You know, and it's good in that regard, but I do spend a lot of time, you know, and when I perform, I do it through Ableton.
Yeah.
I do it through like the clip view. So I've already got, you know, 100 tracks to the right and the ones I want to play on the left, just moving them around all the time, you know, and I have all my own loops and effects and one shots and, you know, stems everywhere. It's all this kind of stuff that I can just manipulate the set on the fly. But there's preparation in that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of, okay, I want to have this hypergeo stem sitting there that I can just chuck over top of a sentient lead kind of thing, you know, and that takes a bit of time, but once it's done, it's prime.
And that's also what is the difference between you specifically and different DJs, you know, like I really think that the more you get into your craft and start like sculpturing the way you do your sets and running with it, like that's what's going to set you different from all the rest, because you give it more time, you give it more energy, and then, like that's your passion.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the set or the moment that you were like, oh, I'm going to do this shit for a long ass time?
I haven't really thought about that, but there's been some really good moments, you know, like I'm a big fan of, you know, Rainbow Serpent is, you know, one of the greatest festivals in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and I was lucky enough to have some chances to play, I guess, the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 of those, whatever. But when I played that first, I was like, okay, I've made Rainbow. That's a pinnacle. And then I was playing it and everything was great. I'm like, yeah, this is something that I want to do forever kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I want to grow old doing this.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably that moment. Prior to that, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of other events that held, you know, significance as well. But I think that one was almost like, you know, I've got to where I wanted to go. You know, the rest is up to me now, you know, to keep pushing to get bigger or to maintain that level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with this era that we are going through right now, that every DJ or music producer or whatever is being forced to be a content creator. What do you think about that? That your craft must go through this suddenly video editing and this.
Yeah. It's a hard one. I understand why. And you have to. And that's fine. It kind of pushes us a little bit to, you know, not just do music, and we have to, you know, look at how we can do video editing, and we have to look at other methods to get our name out there, and that's fine. I think that's just natural evolution. When I go out to sets now, I'm always taking my Insta360 or a GoPro.
Yeah.
I'm setting them up just so I can use clips from that in future for promo, or if it's a really important set, like to a big crowd or whatever, I'll record the whole set and we'll put that up on YouTube or whatever. I think it's important. It's a good platform now. Just like, let's look before COVID, for example. Live streaming wasn't as a big thing.
Yeah.
Post COVID, it was. But that's good. It gets our name out there. You know, you can do a stream and have 10,000 people watch it or whatever, and that's going to get your name out a bit more.
Yeah.
But it comes down to, if you don't have the skills to do that or the ability to do it because of a job or children or whatever, you just got to look outside the box of, how can you do it? Yeah. Can I outsource this? Can I use, you know, another person to do it for me, and that'll help build their portfolio and all that kind of stuff. You just got to look outside.
Yeah.
You know, don't take it all on yourself.
Exactly. And like with the content creation, at some point you as a DJ, it's more like if you're producing, so you have your EPs, you have your albums, you have your releases, that keeps your name out there. As a DJ, you gotta have those sets also. Like, this is your trademark. Okay. Like, people are waiting for the next Azrin set.
Yeah.
You know, so is it something about the event or something about the specific set that you choose? Like, do you come up front with, okay, I'm going to record this one and put it out? Like, what's your thought process behind like recording sets and, you know?
Yeah. I don't purposely put a set out every month like some other people, because I don't want it to get washed out. You know, like I guess that the timeline of that set might be 3 months, and then people will move on to another one kind of thing. Yeah. So I try and put something out once every 3+ months. It keeps everyone a bit, you know, keeps them wanting to see what's coming, as opposed to knowing, oh, something's happening next month.
Yeah.
But when I do it, I traditionally just choose key events. You know, like if I'm touring Europe, like I do every couple of years, I'll make sure they're the ones that I record, especially the ones that they're in peak times or they're to massive crowds and things like that. So I'll go, okay, I'm going to Europe. I've got 4 awesome festivals I'm playing. They're all slightly different. I'm going to make sure none of these sets overlap, so to speak, you know, so they're all got different tracks, you know, so, and that's the other advantage of being a DJ, right? Yeah. We can do that, you know, so I might put those 5 sets out, space them out 2 or 3 months in between each other, and they're all going to be very different. I'm not going to recycle anything, you know, and it worked really well. It just means that set might not get, you know, publicized until 6 months after I played it, you know, or 9 months or whatever, but people don't mind that. You know, like most of the tracks I play are unreleased anyway. So when the set gets released, they're probably fresh still.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I do it.
That's also like it's a massive power to be a resident DJ for a label like Zenon, or like people that are for Digital Structures or Alpaca Music, or like those kind of vibes that like, it's you gotta have those resident DJs and not only the producers to put you up front there, especially when you are a known name in the scene that we are at.
Yeah.
You know, and a question that I wanted to ask you for myself, it's like, what's the relationship, like as a DJ playing tracks of other producers? Do you see if they're on lineups on the same places that you play to not play their music, or like what's the relationship with that?
Always. Yeah, like you have to respect them.
Exactly.
That's also a negative when it comes to being on Zenon and when you're playing big festivals, because all the people that you want to play their tracks are also playing.
Yeah.
So you just have to go through the catalog and go, I can't play Chromagons, I can't play Hypergears, I can't play Sentient because they're all on the same festival. But that's good in a way. Like it makes it go, okay, I want to play all these other ones instead. But that said, there's been a few occasions where I've said to artists that are playing, going, hey, I really want to play this track of yours. Is it in your set? Like, are you going to play it? And they're like, no, I'm not playing it. And then it works out well.
Yeah.
And it's one of the advantages of Zenon. We're not just a community, we're a family. So like we're talking to each other daily, you know, and there's a lot of artists on there, and it's just like a big family. We're like, hey, what's going on? Let's meet up at this country. Let's get a place together, you know, before this festival. And what are you playing? And, you know, what VSTs are you using now? And all these kind of things. It's just, they're bros and sisters.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
I've never seen the dynamics from the inside of the label, but from outside, the whole it seems like, and I got to talk to Tim, and I know some people there, and it just looks like a wholesome environment, which is why it works for over 25 years now.
Yeah. No, very much so.
Yeah. And do you do more things other than DJing, bro? Like I know you own
for Zenon.
No.
Or in general?
In general, bro. What keeps your heart moving?
Yeah, for Zenon in particular, and then I'll move to the rest.
Bro,
No. So for Zenon in particular, I've always helped tour artists to Australia, find gigs for them, and just communicate that way. That's been a big plus because I was an event manager for a very, very long time. I've been throwing events since 2008. So I've been hosting events, you know, from 100 capacity club to a 2,000 plus capacity festival. So that's been my life for a very long time. And being on Zenon's been great because then I can bring all these artists in, we can tour them around Australia, and that's been a really good part of my Zenon life.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, as I mentioned, like music's a big part of me. So hosting events has always been a big thing. I couldn't even count how many events I've thrown, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. It's great. But outside of that, again, I was a graphic designer for a long time. I still do a little bit of it. I was a photographer at some point. I was a senior level project manager in the infrastructure sector. I did that for probably like 20 years almost, or over, I'd say actually. And that's seen me get, you know, some really great accolades and move up the food chain and enable me to do things like buy a house and travel around the world and things like that. So for me, I'm always doing something. I can't sit still.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not music, it's got to be something to do with, you know, art and design and media. If it's not that, it needs to be something about project management or, you know, what's my next step? You know, what's my next goal?
Do you remember the first event you produced?
I do. It was in a country town called Ballarat. There was a group of us, we're all oldest mates, we're all just candy ravers. And we went, let's make a crew. We made a crew and we managed to convince a club to give it to us. And we did. We filled it out. And we did that every month for a while. And then I moved to Melbourne because I sort of outgrew that town.
Yeah.
Went and moved to Melbourne, and then I had to start again. And I did the same thing in Melbourne. Just had to start from scratch. But it was good. You know, I had contacts and, you know, through everything.
What is it about the event production that, because I do it myself like very shortly, last season I started, but what is it about it that keeps you doing it? Like what is the exciting part of it?
Yeah.
For you?
it's like playing a set. You know, you get enjoyment out of seeing how everyone reacts to it. Throwing events exactly the same. You know, you want to see how everyone is enjoying what you've produced. You know, and even the way that you structure your lineup. You know, it's like writing a set.
Yeah.
You know, you want it to start soft and then get harder and then come down again or whatever, just like you would have set. You know, and that's where you're putting everyone. So it's no real different than to writing a set, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's just doing it in a different manner. It's not for the money, because you almost always lose money. But it's just for the satisfaction of knowing that you've created something that people will remember and enable them to create connections. And all the things that we loved about going to parties and the, you know, and the memories we hold from going to these parties in the past, we can go, hang on, we did that for some people as well. You know, and it's very satisfying. Yeah.
It is. And it's like, I believe that people that love something needs to do it. You know, people, like, if we take it to a bigger scale, like even government and shit, like people that knows how to do something needs to do it, and not just someone random that was chosen.
Yeah.
You know, so being an event producer is just so, it makes sense for people, for a person that lives this kind of lifestyle, you know, because like you say, the vibe I want is the vibe I bring.
Yeah.
And like, even it looks like, even in the sets that you play, the parties that you make, like I've never seen you design or things like that, but I can be sure that it comes from your energy. Like it looks like all the things that you're doing is ways to express yourself in this, like, what am I even trying to ask you right now? You know, that's the whole thing. I'm just riffing. Do you remember an event that you produced that you were like, after the natural progression of things, that it's starting small and it's slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger? You know, those times that you grind and your head is low and you're like running with it, and suddenly you raise your eyes and you see 1,000 people, 1,500 people, 2,000 people, and you're like, how does that feel to know that it came from energy that you created?
Yeah. There's been many of those moments, and it's great, you know, and I've been fortunate enough to work with some amazing people. When I did it back in the country town, that was good. They were good, close friends. Then moving to Melbourne, it was just myself. But then I found another person who's my best mate, Lucky Farron. He runs Universal Tribes. Mm-hmm. He was doing events as well. Then we decided, hang on, our events are basically the same. Let's just combine forces. And we did that. And then instantly we started getting bigger numbers, and we went from hosting 300 capacity clubs to, you know, 1,000 capacity, and it was great. And we were doing those consistently, and we were getting the right support from the community and everything else, and it was just great. So every time we'd be sitting there after we'd press play, and we're like, okay, nothing else can be done now, and we look around, we go, wow, we did this, you know. And then we did that for a while, and then we got to a point where we went, we should do a festival. We don't want to do a 3-day festival like everyone else, because there's already other people doing that in this market, and they're doing a wonderful job. We don't want to stand on their feet. We want to do something that's a bit different, you know, and that's what we've been known for, is doing something different. So we started doing 1-day parties with, you know, multiple stages. We did it at one venue called Ceres Park in Melbourne. The first year we sold out well ahead of time. And the same thing, we did it and we looked around and went, look at all these people having amazing times here. Like we had that year we had Kelly Scintilla, White Bear, and countless others. And it was amazing. We went, shit, you know, we're doing a good job here. And then the amount of people afterwards, you know, for a long time, that was my favorite party ever, and all that kind of stuff. And then you do it again the next year, and the same thing again. And that's why we did a few of these. And every time we did it, we just got bigger and bigger. It was great satisfaction. And
and
feels good.
Yeah, there's something about like being where you want to be, experiencing this feeling of like, oh, I was meant for this. Like I am doing it passionately and like, again, it does not feel like a job. I am here because I want to be and not because I need to be. And this kind of energy is so important, to create from not from lack, from like, oh, I have to do it to sustain myself, to survive, but create it from the energy of like, I want to do this. I am this, it's so important.
100%. Like, going back to what, let's call it, my day job was, I was, my more recently, I was the head of strategy, managing construction strategies and workforce strategies for multi-billion-dollar projects. That's all just project management, at a higher level, yes, but when we're creating a festival or an event, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I feed off that, whether I'm managing a construction project or whether I'm managing an event, I use the same methodologies, and I get a high off it, being able to transfer these skills between industries, kind of thing. It's a great vibe.
Yeah, and that's a great way to exist, because you are learning all the skills that are combined with your passion. So if it's from managing it or playing it or producing it or even like, photography, so you can, it's all about acquiring more skills that will broaden the spectrum of how good you do what it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
And like with this part of the spectrum so positive and amazing, do you remember a situation or a moment that was the other opposite, that something that happened in an event or something that happened during a set that was like, oh, that's different, like something a little bit, I don't know,
something negative in a way?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call it negative. That's why I'm putting it out of this equation. Not negative, but more like something a little bit more serious to show the other side. That it's not all fun rainbows and fucking unicorns,
Yeah, I guess probably a lot of the events that we did that failed. We were known for having solid, sold out, full events. And then there was a time, especially after COVID, when things just started slowing down. And we were doing that, and we were putting some killer lineups together, like multiple big headliners, and still only getting 300 people when we needed 700 to break even.
Yeah.
And we were doing that, and we just kept doing it. We kept doing it, going, no, it'll get better soon. It'll get better soon. And it didn't, and we just realized, hang on, the industry's not what we thought it was, and it's not because of the people. It's because of income. People can't go out every weekend anymore like they used to. Things got real expensive real quick.
Yeah.
People are handpicking what they can go to, and they're choosing one party a month now, not one a week. So for us, that was a real big key moment.
Yeah.
We're like, hang on, we created such a vast repertoire of experiences. We need to think about doing something differently now.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start collaborating with others and start small again. Go, revert back to the way it was at the start, because that's not just us, that's the industry now.
That's interesting, thinking about what's the gray area between like wishful thinking and manifesting and running. Yeah, we got to continue. And at what point you're just putting your leg on the brake and saying, whoa, something is not working.
Yeah. For us, that was when we were broke. We had all this money that we were always putting into our festival.
Yeah.
And that's why it was getting bigger every time. And it was getting better. It was epic. And then all that money disappeared over a year, and we were back to zero. And when that happens, we're pushing because we were hoping
and
that things would get better. We knew it wasn't us because it was everyone. Everyone was experiencing the same problem.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really do anything different. That's what happened. We got to a point where let's stop here. Let's stop for a little bit, rethink how we do this. And at that point, I just started going, well, let's start collaborating. Let's half the risk, with another crew. Let's start bringing more people in, that, diversifying in a way. And that's what we did. That helped us get back to break even every time. But yeah, it hurt getting to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it feels like that's a lesson that we must go through to continue to our next step of being the best version of ourselves, like you gotta go through shit and you gotta understand that, I had again wishful thinking and I wanted to succeed and I wanted to give a lot of good energy, but sometimes like you don't always get what you want, but you always end up getting what you need, and what do you think was the lesson for you in this situation of like seeing everything that you've worked for kind of collapse and need to be rebuilt?
All right. This will get deep for a little bit.
Bro, that's what I'm here
So
for.
bear with me.
Bring it on, man.
In one word, resilience. Like we all need resilience. My resilience was, I guess, I've always had resilience and I've always had drive. I've always wanted to do the best. But I had a big moment in, 2002. I was heavily into cars. I was driving a car to work far too fast, more than likely. I can't remember. And I slid off the road, smashed into a telephone pole, and wrecked my car. Put myself into a coma for a month or two. Died a few times. Got airlifted to hospital, and had to learn to walk again, learn to talk again. It was a pretty deep moment. Like I was in hospital for 6 months, staring at a white wall kind of thing, learning to talk and walk and all the rest. But outside of all that, that's what gave me the drive to better myself and, know that you could be dead tomorrow, live every day like it's your last. So from that moment, and like I said, even prior to that moment, I was very driven. I was even more driven after that. When you're trapped in hospital for such a long time and they say you're going to be in there for 3 years getting better, and then you go, no, I'm not having that. I've got parties to throw. I've got all countries to see. And then I'm like, okay, I'm getting out sooner. And I was out in 6 months. It was that point where I was like, okay, what can I do now? And since then, I've DJed in 20 odd countries. I've traveled around the world. I've seen I think almost 70 countries. I've climbed the corporate ladder. I'm here now with you, and this is all born from just saying yes to a lot of things. Not accepting no unless you have to.
Yes.
Pushing boundaries, and just being driven. Have an idea and go, I'm going to work for this. It might take longer than I think, but I'm going to get there. And that's me,
That's exactly it, like there is something like some people think like, oh, I don't want to, show myself as more than I am, or like try to like, I kind of live by this. I rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. I'm gonna do what I need to do, and whatever needs to be fixed will be. But just forcing the way you see reality on existence instead of trying to, manipulate situations or things like that. Like just understanding that as long as I'm not trying to hurt anyone and my intentions are pure, like there is no reason for me to fail at what I want to do.
That's it.
And just forcing whatever it is that I want to, in my mind, I already see the way I want to live. I live as if I'm already there. And I just let reality itself do the connection between where I am right now and where this picture is.
Yeah.
Just filling yourself with this energy of like, I know where I'm walking to. I am super confident in it. And I see no reason why it will not happen, because this little hole of doubt in our mind that like, the ego drip inside and, oh, I'm not worthy and I'm not capable and I'm the only obstacle that there is between us and our goals is ourselves, and if we choose to step out of our way, just so much easier.
It is. And I listen to a lot of different podcasts and, have a I've got some good mentors. I've had coaches in the past, and I think these are incredibly important. They all say the same thing. To get to where you're going to fail, but it's how you deal with that failure. And keep doing it. Keep working through it. Keep failing. Eventually you won't. And that's what keeps, that's what separates you from the rest.
Exactly.
Others that they try something, they fail, they give up.
Yeah.
You can't have that mindset. You got to go, there's always someone better than me out there. I'm never going to be the best. That's understandable. Once you've accepted that and you go, okay, but I'm going to do the best I can.
Yes.
And I'm going to do what I can until I can't. And you just keep pushing through it. Every failure, you get back up again and go, what can I learn from that? Was it just the wrong time, or did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
And as long as you learn from those failures, and, apply those to the future, every time you do it, you're going to get closer and closer to that goal. And then you'll get there and go, hang on, I created this. And then all these other people will come to you and go, how'd you do that? And you go, well, I failed a lot and I learned from my failures and I didn't give up. That's how you get to here.
Absolutely. 100%. And just, I think the biggest problem is that people kind of compare themselves to others rather than to who they are going to be tomorrow and who they were yesterday. As long as your only competition is being better than yourself, and you understand that you're not really competing anyone else, because just where we put ourselves mentally, you can just, okay, so my way of living needs to be compared only to how I used to be and only to how I'm going to be. And that's it. And it takes so much of the stress down, because I don't need to be better than anyone else, because like the difference between us is the experience that life brought on us and how we chose to react to it.
Yeah.
So when you put like the fact that the only authentic thing to ourselves is how we choose to react to the situation that comes to us. So the people that will look at all the situations as opportunities will definitely go farther than all of those that will look at situations as pits, as obstacles. Again, it's all about how you choose to react. And like, I'm thinking about you a day after the accident. I don't know if a day after, coma 2-3 months. You open up your eyes first time, and what's the first thought in your mind?
Oh, this is also deep. I didn't see no bright light or any of that when I died. I had like a lucid nightmare.
Oh, wow.
That I was in hospital getting experimented on by nurses. It was a very, very lucid dream / nightmare for over a month. And then I wake up and I'm in hospital. Wasn't a good time. I had tubes sticking out of me and everything, and I'd pulled all the tubes out, went to get up to go to the toilet, because, it's what happens when you've been asleep for a month.
Oh, wow.
And then I couldn't walk,
So
and
you just...
I was dropped. And then I was like screaming out, hey, what's going on?
Where am I?
And then they couldn't understand what I was saying, because I lost all motor skills and the ability to talk. So when I first woke up, I was like, hey, what am I doing here? Maybe that wasn't a dream. That was real life. Then I was trying to get out and then I couldn't. So it was a bit terrifying.
Oh, wow.
But then, then I sort of adapted after that, realized what was actually going on when they told me.
And it sinks in, you're there.
Yeah.
I am here. That's what happened.
Yeah.
How in your mind you're getting yourself to the point that like, I'm getting the fuck out of here as fast as possible?
It's just natural for me. I was like, okay, this is the situation. I've accepted that. What now?
Yeah.
And what now is I need to get out. Then, I analyze it and go, okay, to get out, I need to get better, which means I need to do more, speech pathology. I need to do, more gym work. I need to do more of this. So that's what I did. To begin with, I did as much as I could. And then I pushed myself to beyond that. Got to a point where I was actually escaping the hospital, and they were like tracking me down, going, you can't leave. I'm like, well, you're not teaching me fast enough.
Guys,
I need more exercise. I need to get out of here. And that's all I did. It was like, okay, here's the problem. Here's the solution. work through it, get out.
Acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance is a very strong tool that like just dropping the resistance to the natural flow of things. Like, do you believe that you were put in this hospital for a reason? Like, do you see life like that? Like,
yeah. Like, I don't know why, but it was a big kick in the ass to say, Matt, you need to calm down. You know, I was living a pretty reckless life before that. It was very much a respect that you've been given this second chance.
Yes.
You know, understand you've put your parents and friends and partners through hell by being here.
Yeah.
Don't do it again. But also, hey, you've been given a second chance, make it count. You know, do those things that you've always wanted to. Don't just be an ideas man, be a doer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, hey, I want to go travel overseas. Don't just talk about it, do it. You know, I want to buy a house. Don't just talk about it, do it.
And the more you do it, the more you train the muscle of doing it. And like, as a person that saw himself from a coma to a full functioning in you know, less than quarter of the time they thought it's going to be, like, that must have brought something into your mind, energy of like, I can do whatever it is the fuck I want.
That's it.
And like, when you talk about a reckless way of life before, like, of course, now that we think about that, like, it came to get you down a little bit and to calm you and to humble you. But like, why do you think this reckless way of living came? Was it ignorance? Was it just being in a moment? Like,
all of the above, I think. It was living in a country town, doing what country boys do. They make a mess. They do things they shouldn't. They break the rules, you know, and we're doing that. And in the rave scene back at the very, very start, you know, well, not the start, but, you know, the late 90s, early 2000s, you did some questionable things, you know, and they were fun times and you enjoyed them, but you have to understand that you can't do that all your life.
Yeah.
You need to have some goals. You need to go, well, this is me now. I can live every day like it's my last now, but I probably should have a few goals as well that extend beyond this week.
Yeah.
You know, like, I want to buy a house, or I want to have my own business, or I want to travel the world, or whatever. You need to plan some things.
And being in the moment, like, people think that in order to create something big, you need to constantly look at the future and whatever. I think it's more about like being here now, planning it, right? Like, if you're constantly thinking about the future, you are not like present right now. And if you're not present right now and you're only thinking about, like again, like you're saying, to think is either there or there. To do is right now.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, again, less thinking, more doing, because again, like the mind will never supply answers to you. I think the mind only asks questions. That Iagon said that the mind only asks questions, and the heart knows what it wants. You know, the heart is the center of like, okay, I have a goal, I want to do it. And then like combining force, energy with the energy of creation, like you're suddenly a machine to create, and then people see the energy that you have and they want to be a part of it, and it's always like this amazing stream of like how.
Sorry, I'm just putting this on mute.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
How better and bigger we are and faster in creating what it is that we want to create when we are together. You know, like you used to see, I don't think people think about it anymore, but like this lone wolf mentality of like, yeah, I gotta do it by myself, and I gotta do it like, you know.
No, I think we're past that. Like, that's very much I don't know, our parents' generation of sorts. Let's look at it that way. That's because they had to be that way. You know, they were put in situations where they had to be the breadwinners and they had to do everything themselves. We're lucky that we're surrounding ourselves with fellow creatives and people that have similar dreams to us. We can look at that and go, well, I can do it myself. This is probably going to take about 3 years. Or I can team up with you. We can probably do it in 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, and it's being smart about, you know, working smarter, not harder kind of thing. It's just using logic a bit more, I think.
And just stepping back from the perspective of the person that is experiencing the situation, will help you immensely, because then you're not getting involved with emotions and thoughts and like assumptions, which is a very big toxic thing to do. Like, it's just being able to again be in the moment, see the way that you feel currently. Like, the relationship that we have with our emotions is super important. Because
Definitely.
like there's a lot of denial a lot of the time, and like suppression, and like, did you, like, what's changed seeing the version of Matt before going all through all this experience and after?
I guess, I don't know, like it's a natural progression. Obviously before the accident, let's call it that, I was just having fun, living life. Afterwards, I wanted to live every dream that I could, and I realized there's some challenges to that. It is some things I can do quickly, some I can do it, long term. And I just had to think of it smarter. As far as emotions go, the accident actually heightened my emotions. I didn't mention it earlier, but when I hit the telephone pole, it went straight through the car and it stopped when it hit me.
Oh, wow.
Like, it physically hit my head, fractured my skull, burst my eardrums, and all the rest of it. So I had a brain hemorrhage and all that. So that actually impacted part of the brain that heightened my emotions in a lot of senses, which I don't see as a problem. It
is what it is.
It is what it is. And like we're saying, acceptance, of course. But it's been good. It's actually enabled me to get deeper and more in touch with those emotions, as opposed to hiding everything or bottling it up. Now I'm like, okay, that was pretty traumatic, or something might happen on the weekend that I'll go, that's actually affected me pretty deeply. I need to sit back and work through that, and I wouldn't have had that prior, so all good things have been happening, and it's just a matter of accepting it and utilizing them to make you a better person. So, yeah.
Beautiful. I'm going to shift a little bit back to the music. Something about Australia that produces this type of genre of the more, Zenon and Psytech, and like, what's the correlation that you see between the country, the energy, and the type of music that is getting out from this place? Because
Australia's blessed to have some of the best artists in the world.
In my eyes as well.
It's amazing. And what's good about it is they're all just cool people. They're your mates now. Like, they're some of the people I idolized as a younger raver, and now really close mates, and good friends. And it's so lucky. And I don't know why Australia's got such a plethora of talent. Obviously it's where the whole Zenon ethos began. And from that, obviously other sub brands have come out, and people have created their own labels that are slightly different, and it's opened up the world, to this nice, deep, bushy sound.
Yeah.
I can't explain why. I'm just grateful. It's just so much fun, knowing that some of the best tunes in the world, I can go around to that person's house on the weekend and have a beer with him, not talk about music, talk about cars or talk about anything else. Or I can go around there and go, hey, can you show me how to do that bass line? It's I don't know what it is. But it's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, well, we are lucky to have Australia and the talent that's come out of Australia, because like, I personally still haven't been.
Get over there.
I will. I definitely will.
Yeah.
At some point, that is my type of shit. So I need to go there. But do you see different, like, what's the biggest difference? Like, I heard that Australia took like COVID times, like it was kind of harsh on it.
Yeah.
Like, there's any difference between what were there before and after? Do you see any kind of thing that lingered with?
Yeah. Australia was very, very strict on its COVID rules. Whether it was right or wrong, that's not for me to decide. It was what it was.
Yeah.
What came out of it was a lot more producers because they were trapped. Like they were by themselves for a couple of years kind of thing. And that served a good purpose for a lot of producers. They were like, okay, I want to start writing these tunes. And out of that, there was a plethora of just amazing artists just erupted. So it was good. You know, like as far as music goes, some good came out of it. The negative is, as I mentioned earlier, the events are all struggling because people aren't going out as much. But let's not touch on that again. As far as the artists go, I think it was a good thing because it gave people, you know, that kick in the butt to go, I've been talking about production for a while, I might as well just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and then they started doing it. And then post-COVID, they had the opportunity to hang out with people that they idolized and learn tricks and refine their craft to create some amazing artists now. Yeah.
Yeah. And bro, you're going on a tour soon, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess my tour started in December or just January almost. When that big corporate job I had, I quit that job, left that life behind me and went, I'm just going to tour for a while and came over here. Then did a few gigs and went back home about 4 months later, temporarily, just to pack up a few goods, come back over. So I've been working here in Thailand mainly had a lot of gigs in Koh Tao. So thankful to people like Benny Zenescapes. He's a good friend and he really helped me out getting connected with the right people over in Koh Tao. Had some gigs here in Copenhagen. I'm here for another 2 weeks. I've been fortunate while I'm here to connect with people like yourself and others, which is really nice. You know, forging good bonds for now and the future and forever, which is great. But yeah, after I head off, off to Croatia, Germany, Amsterdam, France, Portugal, and then back through Georgia, potentially to Azerbaijan, then for a few gigs over in India.
Nice.
And then back here.
Wow.
Before heading back to Australia for a few gigs. I've got a handful of gigs in Australia already.
So we're talking now about like a period of all of those. It's like 6-8 months?
Yeah, I'll be getting back to Australia mid-October. And that's a lot later than I planned, but I just can't say no. You know, and when opportunities come up, I'm jumping on those.
And describe a little bit like a tour life for you, and what's the difference between living on tour than like any other period for you? You like touring, obviously.
Yeah, touring is good. It's good, you know, it's good to meet artists that you've always been talking to online, especially on the same record label, and then you get to finally meet them, and then you're like, hang on, we're just as good a mates now as we were online. Things like that. And seeing new countries. Like I'm a traveler. I can't sit still, like I said earlier. I need to see the world. And the majority of the time, I'll particularly look for a gig in a certain country I haven't been to. So I can do that gig, then spend a week there exploring it.
Yeah.
That's just merging my two loves, you know, music and travel. And, you know, photography and things like that as well. So I can merge it all together. And I try and do that as much as I can. Can't always, you know, sometimes you got to be fly in, fly out. It is what it is, right? That's touring life. Sometimes you got to do 2 gigs in one weekend. So then you're like, okay, I'll do this gig in Slovenia. Then I'll go really quickly go over to Germany. And, you know, you're in and out and you just take as much of it on board as you can. Other times, like you're in Thailand, you know, you go, okay, I'll come here for a month. I'll do a few gigs. I'll relax, you know, so it's all very different. You know, Europe, I find it's hard to stay there for a long time, mainly because of money and the likes. Thailand's a bit different. You know, Thailand's like a second home. So it's easy to come back here for a long time. Yeah.
Before we finish, do you remember one gig that was above and beyond?
Yeah. The one that really sticks through is it's actually an Australian one. Let's not forget all the amazing times I had at Rainbow Serpent. They were amazing, and I cannot discount those.
Cherished.
They are cherished. But Elements Festival was one that I knew the owners of that festival, and they were such beautiful people, and they became some of my closest friends. There was one opportunity they gave me. Every time they gave me the opportunity to play main stage at a prime slot, and that was amazing. But one time in particular, they said, "We want you to be the feature performance." They had several cameramen, several performers. It was at an awesome slot, and it was filmed. And I'm glad it was filmed, because the energy I got from that set was electric, and then having all the cameramen everywhere and all my friends, which were the performers, performing, and everything was just perfect. It was an event run by my really close mates. It was sort of at my peak where everyone wanted to see more of Azrin, kind of thing. All my friends were performing. It was at night time. We had 5 performers. We had everything. And it was captured. And I'm like, it was a moment. It was a very good moment. You can look at that on my YouTube or the Zenon YouTube. It's all there. And yeah, that was just one of those events that I can't forget. So yeah, one of many, but yeah.
That's the cycle of energy, bro. The energy that you give to the world is the energy that you are going to get. And from the short connection that we have between us, bro, I really appreciate you as a person and as an artist, for sure. You've been my hero for years. And yeah, there's a good reason you are where you are. The energy is very open, very safe, very comfortable. And I want to thank you for being here with me today, bro.
No, well, thank you.
Thank you so much, bro.
That means a lot. Oh. And, and the feeling's mutual. You pick up an energy from certain people. Yeah. Like, we only met, a few weeks ago, and instantly it was like we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
And they're the kind of, connections that you cherish, because okay, we've only just met now, but this is going to be a long-lasting thing.
100%.
Yeah, and it's 100%. That's great. So I thank you for the opportunity, to meet you, and I've seen you play more than you've seen me play now, and it's great, So thank you for the opportunity to grace your couch.
KohPhanCast, guys, thank you so much.
Join the journey, stay for a while.